All right, welcome back to part 5000 of covering Bernie Sanders smears. And I've said this before, but as we know, Bernie Sanders came out first in that Iowa poll, the gold standard poll. So the establishment had to come and stop the momentum. Obama came out with his goons. Everything is crashing down. Elizabeth Warren is causing controversy. Holding on Castro is jumping in it. All the industries, like the usual ones. This is the biggest assault on Sanders I've seen. I think it's much worse than even 2016, and they're bringing back the 2016 smears. But right here, you could say is a little bit on the minor side of attacks, but I still want to cover it because we have to understand this is what people are seeing, and this is the media site and CNN, MSNBC, and CNN that people trust. So we have to go in and understand what people are seeing in order to defuse them and try to get their support. So if you look at the title, Bernie Sanders was up 3% in this poll. They might have a picture of it a couple seconds in here. So he's up 3%. And the margin of error is 3.7 percentage points. But if you watch media sites, they never bring that up unless if they want to make a political point with it. And with data, you could distort it any way you want. And what they do here with the title, Sanders and Warren statistically tied in Iowa. He's obviously up 3 points, a 5-point surge after Buttigieg fell 9 points. Now, if you want to see their true bias, look at this. When Pete Buttigieg was in that New Hampshire poll, up by 1 point, look at the title. Pete Buttigieg takes the lead in New Hampshire. They weren't saying anything about a statistical tie, although this poll has a 4.9 percentage point margin of error, 1.2% higher than the Iowa poll. And Buttigieg is only up 1 point to Biden, 2 points to Sanders, and 5 points to Warren. Like, it's so apparent, but whatever. We already know this is happening. Let's see what they say about the actual outcome of the poll.
Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren lead the field in Iowa, both statistically tied for first place, according to the latest CNN Des Moines Register Mediacom poll. Sanders has 20% support, up 5 points since November. Warren sits at 17%, up 1 point. Both are within the poll's almost 4-point margin of error. Former Mayor Pete Buttigieg follows closely behind with 16%, down 9 points. Former Vice President Joe Biden has 15%, unchanged since November. Senator Amy Klobuchar is at 6%. Andrew Yang still at 5% of support,
so
up 2.
We're going to dig in more into this poll in just 1 second. I just want to bring up, though, Mr. Kornacki, the New Hampshire poll last week.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
was
so they're
almost
bringing this
identical
up.
to this. 4, you got the top 4. They're all basically within the margin of error. Yep. This is, if it were a horse race, like they're going around the corner at Kentucky Derby, and you got 4 horses lined up next to each other. This is last week, 2019, 18, 15. And by the way, Elizabeth Warren at 15-1, and she was in 4th place or 3rd place, close behind in the other. Man, if you're Elizabeth Warren, you're actually kind of liking that because her on-the-ground operation is stellar. And she's the number 2 choice of a lot of people in Iowa. And Iowa, that matters.
Adrian Elrod, what do you see happening in these 2 states, Iowa and New Hampshire, given these polls?
So it's funny they bring her on. She is a former Hillary Clinton social media consultant. I think she is a journalist. I forget what company she works for, but she is definitely going to pick a side here. It's going to be Elizabeth Warren. I have not seen this yet, but I guarantee she says that Elizabeth Warren somehow is going to catch up to Bernie Sanders with her ground game, and she will totally disregard Bernie Sanders' ground game, which is much bigger.
Well, Mika, I mean, first of all, this is going to be such a close race. And to the point that Joe just mentioned, the ground game is going to be everything. It could make up the difference between those 4 and 5 points where the gap exists, i.e. Elizabeth Warren. And to the point that you just talked about with Elizabeth Warren being the common second choice among a lot of caucus goers, that is huge because you've got to keep in mind every single caucus. I think there's about 1,600 different caucus locations throughout the state of Iowa. Every single caucus, you as a candidate, in order to go forward after the first round of caucus going, you have to get 15% of the vote of the actual people in that room. 15% of you at least those people have to be in your corner. If not, i.e. if you're Amy Klobuchar, you get 6 or 7% of the people in that room, then your people are free to go in the second round to whomever they want to go to. And if their choice is Elizabeth Warren, that can significantly boost her. You've also got to keep in mind that this time in Iowa, they are also releasing the raw vote total. So it's not just the 41 delegates that are awarded in Iowa. It's also the raw vote total. So for the first time, we will be able to see how many people who cast a vote for who and how that raw total vote total plays out. That's not necessarily going to mean more delegates. It's not going to have
I've never
anything
seen
to do
them
with
bring that up. Of course, they are correct. The caucuses function very differently from a regular primary, but I've never seen them ever bring that up before when Bernie Sanders led every single poll amongst second choice voters because it didn't fit their narrative. The thing with statistics and any type of data you collect is you could collect it a certain way, and then how you present that data is going to be how it actually is perceived by the public. So all these polls, they could put the title on here that they statistically tied in Iowa and then put on here that Pete Buttigieg takes the lead to distort the overall image, and it will work. People can be manipulated.
So if somebody, i.e. Bernie Sanders, i.e. even Pete Buttigieg, pulls out a win in Iowa, New Hampshire, that is going to be a very difficult momentum track to change, because that, especially in a large race like this with so
That's
many
what they're doing right now. They're trying to change the momentum for Bernie Sanders. I'm probably going to make a playlist on my channel of every Bernie Sanders smear I covered, so expect that to come in the next couple days. I'll probably do a lot of these because I'll tell you what, they are plentiful, but please consider subscribing and commenting what you think about this smear. Like the video so it gets shared more by the algorithm. We're going to have to fight really hard to connect on that human level because they're going to spend all this money to connect through the smartphones, through social media, through television, but we have to get that human connection with people to help them see the truth and help them see behind the media smears and the biased coverage. It's going to be hard, but it's the only way we could possibly do this.